Hello, Lucy here. This is my quick startup guide, 2021 edition, so still wearing a mask, but we have this lovely new desk. Okay, so this is still all the same gear that we were using last year, but because it's now set out in a much more in an easier to use way that looks a lot nicer, I thought worth doing a new instructional video, a quick startup guide on how to set up a single condenser microphone coming into the desk, coming into Logic and coming out again. So I will probably be sending this to my vocal artist students, level 2 music tech and level 3 music producers. All the same rules apply for starting your studio session, no matter how complex the actual session ends up being. These principles all apply. So yeah, enjoy. So when you first walk into the studio, you'll probably find that the computer is on, but nothing else is on. If the computer is off, it's just an on switch at the back to the left of the computer, as it is in the tech rooms. If it doesn't come on, you just need to check the mains at the back of the room, okay? But probably 90% of the time the mains will be on and the computer will probably be on as well. So turning the rest of the stuff on is easy enough. It's just these two power supply switches here and here, okay? So that will turn on your interface, the console and the outboard gear over here, okay? It's good to get that turned on before you load up Logic so that the computer has seen the interface before it turns on Logic, before Logic loads up, sorry, so it automatically defaults to the interface as the input and output device. To turn the speakers on, it's just these switches at the front of the monitors. So as a rule of thumb, turn the speakers on last when you're setting up and turn them off first when you're packing down. This is to avoid any nasty pops or, heaven forbid, bangs coming through when somebody is plugging a microphone in, or if you turn on phantom power at the front here. So yeah, turn them on last and off first. Next up, when you set up your mic stand, just make sure you splay the legs as wide as they will go, and then this bottom part of the stand needs to be as close to the floor as it can go. That just means it will be really stable on the ground. Okay, and adjust to your height. Okay. Then when you're screwing on your microphone, it's good to loosen up this top screw here, so you can just twist the mic in like that. There we go, mic is set up. Okay, so I've brought the mic through into the live room where I intend to do my recording, and I'm going to plug it into the wall box down on the bottom there. I'm hoping you can see that. I will zoom in a bit. So I need an XLR cable, which is over here. Here we are. Boom, XLR, 3 letters, 3 prongs. Okay, so the female end of the XLR goes into the microphone. Okay, now if you have a very long XLR cable, I mean, probably best to choose a shorter one if you're not going to need very much length. But if you have, for some reason have to use a long XLR cable, avoid uncoiling the whole thing. Keep some of it coiled up so that it stays nice and neat, okay? Now I'm going to plug it into the wall box. Welcome to this dark corner of Studio One. So I am just going to plug the male end of the XLR into number 1 on the wall box. You should hear a little click. There you go. And remember, when you plug it in, the part here that has this sort of marking, this embossed bit, that sort of shows you the center the top part of where it needs to plug in. So basically, there's that bit on the top, and I'm going to plug it in like that, okay? Nice. Okay, so next up, I'm just loading up Logic, and I'm going to check that the interface is being used as our input and output device, okay? So I'm going to go File, New, okay? I want to use an audio track, okay? And I know that I've plugged it into input 1, so I'm going to use input 1, okay? And I'm going to choose to use mono output 1 as well. I can see here that the device is 16A, and that's the name of our interface, so that's fine, that's great. Okay, cool, I've made my audio track. It's also good to name your audio track, okay? So that could be either what's being recorded or the mic name or both. So I'm going to put, okay, Rode NT1A vocals. Okay, so next up, I know that I have plugged into channel 1 on the wall box over there. Now, generally, we like to leave all of these channels routed in kind of ascending order as well, so that number 1 is listening to number 1, number 2 is listening to number 2, etc. So that's what we're going to do today. We know we've plugged into channel 1, so we're going to use channel 1 here, okay? So I know that my microphone is a condenser microphone, therefore I need some phantom power in order to get the mic to work. Phantom power button is just here, it's the 48V red button, and you see a little light come up there. As I pressed it, that's just where it's sending the extra signal through. And then here's your input gain controller here. I'm going to give it just over halfway of input gain, just so that, you know, I'm giving it a fair bit, but not, hopefully not gonna, you know, get too hot of a signal. Okay, so then at that point, you can go and speak into the microphone and see if anything happens. I'm speaking into the microphone, I'm hoping something happens out there. And you can test to see what kind of level you want for your input gain. Now, normally, like, about this line here that's marked on the meter is ideal, okay? If you can't see the level coming up here, if it's just this light flashing, you need to press this meter button here, okay? The next thing to understand about the desk is that it's kind of split in two. You've got this part up here and then this part down here, okay? And you've got two different faders. I'm going to put these down for now. So this all corresponds to what's coming into the desk and in on our recording, and then this is all about what's going out. So this is all to do with our monitors and what we hear. It doesn't actually affect the recording, okay? So in order for us to send the full signal through to Logic, we need to put this short fader, remember what's coming in, up to 0, okay? So that means it will send the full signal of what's coming through up to Logic, okay? Also, just to note, this part here is to do with, this is an EQ that's built into the desk, okay? And then this part up here is auxiliaries. So that's, you know, if you wanted to use outboard gear, that's what this corresponds to there, okay? Cool. So yeah, I also need to press this mix button down here if I want to hear what's coming in through the speakers. Speakers aren't quite on yet, but that's fine. We'll worry about that in a bit. Okay, and yeah, that's basically all good. At that point, when someone's talking, you should start to see it come up on Logic. Okay, if your inputs and outputs are set correctly, you'll see the green line moving in Logic. I'll just zoom in on that in a minute. As you can see, I'm talking in the studio and you can see a green light moving. So now I've set up my input gain to a nice level, and I know it's all coming through to Logic, so I'm ready to hit record and record some sound. Something else to note, you saw the dancing lights on the desk just there. That's the click track. Now, by default, the click sends out of channels 15 and 16. If you want to get rid of the click altogether, let me remind myself how to do this. You need to go to the mix window, so press X on your keyboard, and then here where it says all next to tracks, you'll see the Klopfgeist instrument pop up on a new click track. You can just turn off that, okay? So, I mean, I'm explaining this with vocal artists in mind who are generally not recording to click tracks. They've just got backing tracks that they want to hear. Obviously, if you did want the click track on, that's absolutely fine. You can leave that on and set your tempo to the right thing. Next up, I want to hear back what I've done. I mean, I don't really want to hear it back, but we want to for the sake of this video. So I need to turn my speakers on. When you want to hear something back, obviously make sure your speakers are turned on, okay? And make sure that the mix button is pressed down on the channel that you're sending out to through Logic, so I know that that is going out to channel 1, okay? So press the mix button down on the long fader part for channel 1, okay? Turn up the fader here. Turn up the master fader as well, and then turn up the main monitor fader too, okay? I am demonstrating the mic. It's not my best song, don't even know the key. Wow,